Luck help me find my squad before this party moves on. This year's Eve Vegas is the greenest gate you'll jump through. Luck turns all brackets off. And FC never docks up without content. And we can camp, we got all night. And FC doesn't squander a chance to go on a roam, insure your ships, and let's do it right. So let's keep this conference polite. Standing set blue for tonight. Stick with me, new bro, we've been partying since downtime.
Hey everybody, welcome to the very, very late episode of Push to Talk. I'm here with the usual crew. I've got Caleb back here on video with me. Say hey, Caleb. Caleb, can you hear me?
We couldn't hear you.
Oh, super fun. I was even using the Push to Talk there in Discord, even after I muted. So it's a little something there with Discord we'll work on. I said, say hey, Caleb.
Hey, guys.
We got RJ here with us. I think, RJ, are you still in the car?
No, I'm in Hobby Lobby right now.
Oh, Hobby Lobby. Joining us on the road live with his family is the ever-present RJ.
Currently looking at knobs for dressers, so replacement knobs.
Knobs for dressers at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, they have a whole aisle of them, and they're pretty cool. Like, there's an elephant head over here, and a deer head as well, which is pretty cool.
Interesting. I would not have. I would expect you to be at like Lowe's or Home Depot or something, dude.
We're multitasking.
There you go. And we've got McLeod across the pond. How you doing, McLeod?
I'm doing good. I'm glad that RJ has joined us from Hobby because was it Hobby Village or whatever?
Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby. That's the one.
Yes.
'Cause it gives us a very diverse set of topics.
So yeah, so the Inmical has noticed that over on Caleb's window there is a microphone muted symbol. I'm not muting.
It's just that I'm being suppressed by Skype.
Dum dum dum.
That's what happens when McLeod tweets out about the NSA in my computer. Immediately things weird start happening, right? That happens to be, so I got something like the Fall Creators patch, which took like an hour and a half or hour and 3/4 to patch. Maybe a little longer than that. It was insane when I came home from a birthday party and turned on my computer and bammo, there it was. So the challenge we have is I got a new version of Skype. I have to capture it in a weird way, and we always mute Skype. So Skype, this version of Skype is showing the muted because we talk over Discord rather than Skype, and we're pulling the video from Skype. So does that make sense?
I think some of those Windows updates is kind of like rape. They just force you right into it.
Well,
the motto is just let it happen.
Yeah, just let it happen.
I want to say I don't want it to happen before my show. right?
Not wanting
Bite
to
the
give
pillow,
you a
Windows is going in dry.
not wanting to give you a little hint, little tip like live and all that kind of thing. But if Caleb on his end actually mutes his Skype, like mutes his inbound like incoming Skype,
Ooh.
like mutes his microphone, and you can unmute and still not get the kind of the dual thing going on.
You want to try that, Caleb? Look at that! I can make things appear on the screen.
So I'm supposed to mute what?
Your inbound sound for
Microphone on
me.
Skype.
No, not you talking. Right? You want to mute me.
I don't have that option.
See,
You
I
should
don't
do.
know. Way too.
I don't know. Maybe you Americans have a different version of Skype. It's all good.
Hey, we give each other advice live all the time. This is not a very professional show, as you all know. We like to have fun and be a little less professional. RJ, if you pick out a new set of knobs for whatever cabinet you're picking them out for, please let us know what you pick out. It'll be interesting.
Actually, we're pulling up shop here. We're going to go next to the dollar store next door.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we're not getting any of the knobs.
No knobs.
We get some Valentine's Day hearts.
Never not Rib McLeod. You know, when I was reading that, never not Rib McLeod, right? I'm like, the first thing that came to mind if I was skimming that would have been never not order the McRib. Okay? So, and bringing that, in the realm of fast food delicacies, the next expectation coming up here in the U.S. is the Shamrock Shake. So, you know, just remember that, everybody. Coming out in about 2-3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, is the big green monster, the ever-present Shamrock Shake. Minty goodness, baby. Did you get that over where you are, Caleb? You McDonald's? You go get Shamrock Shakes?
Shamrock shakes? No, we don't have that. But there is a Scandinavian tradition of all kinds of McFish stuff.
Well, you got a lot of fish over there, right? You get, like, they have like I don't know, what kind of sandwich?
Well, I know they have, I think it's herring in Norway.
Filet o herring.
Yeah, something like that. They have some special sandwiches with fish.
Well, they're pretty special.
Rotten fish, it's a delicacy there. That's what somebody said.
That's Iceland.
Yeah, that's Iceland.
Okay, they do have something similar in Sweden as well.
I want to point out that we did use the actual correct intro today that, you know, took many passes of getting with Ullr's fabulous music, and whoever did that video for us, thank you. It's pretty cool. We just need to get McLeod in there somewhere. McLeod, do you have the Shamrock Shake over there in the old UK?
I don't know. I don't frequent like Mackie D's like often enough to know whether that's actually the case. But I do know that like when it's people do the shamrock kind of thing on heads of Guinness.
I'm pretty sure that it's just a colloquialism for being robbed by an Irishman.
Robbed by an Irishman. I get
Do the Shamrock Shaker will knife you.
Could be like a new dance, right? New craze. Oh, cool. We can. Yeah, we got to get a picture or something for McLeod. That's the problem.
I need to get something done. Like, I need to. In fact, I think there's a Eve London coming up soon, so I'll probably go to that and take some pictures and stuff.
That'd be cool. You should just be passed out, laying over a bar with a Guinness right beside you. Just.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go down to my little bar down the street and be passed out or something. Cool. We'll figure it out. Eve London, Lord Inner wants to know all about Eve London, so let's do a little announcement.
Well, we can't announce something that we don't know exactly, so I'm just going to check Eve.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Phil, while I'm finding out info. We're a professional organization here, guys.
we have user submission of options for McLeod.
Oh, right. Do we?
Don't worry, creative's got last call on all that stuff. We'll be good.
Are we going to talk some Eve?
We're going to talk some Eve.
Gaming stuff first, right?
We can talk gaming stuff first. Shoot, lead us on, Caleb.
Well, we were talking about topics, and one of the things that's been hot in Eve as well is the whole RMT and botting issue, and why it's about time that we see another Unholy Rage era in Eve. I think that's a problem that is pretty much endemic in all gaming industry.
How does, and explain to me how anybody actually makes money RMTing in Eve? Because I sit there and I've gone out and looked at these sites, get 50 billion, ISK, and give you $5.
It's the unholy trinity, right? It's kind of like the triangle trade that's circumventing all the things that benefit the fair players and the actual developer. So you have botting that basically usually feeds into a middleman, and then the middleman is then RMTing to get his cut of the generated resource, right? So anything that's botted is usually botted to be sold directly to casual players, that credit card warrior, with real money, but they do it outside of the game developer.
Yeah, but how do you make real money doing this? I mean, seriously. I mean, you think so much botting's going on that people are making like an individual person like me. How would I bot and make money at it, Caleb?
Well, there's a lot of different types of bots, and I was discussing this with Dirk, right? There's things like logistics bots that's basically shipping things around and fairly easy to code. And then, of course, there's the mining bots and then the ratting bots. And I don't know where things are now. I've only seen a bot running once in my life at a friend's house way back in 2009 or something like that. So I don't know how far they've come, but I do know that it's pretty extensive, and they've grown really good at coding them. So it's a matter of gaining the benefit of running something 23/7, right? You can't compete with that, and that's regardless of whether you are multi-account mining in static belts. That's actually profitable because you have the benefit of time.
Yeah, and as Ramelcast in the chat says, $5 in the US doesn't actually get you that much, but take that $5 and go over to, I don't know, Nepal or somewhere. Yeah,
then
okay, quite a lot.
Adding the sweatshops, right?
Then £5 takes you a long way, and that's when, the whole kind of idea of RMT actually does kind of.
But that's fundamentally
I hate to say
illegal,
makes.
right?
I hate to say makes sense. It is fundamentally illegal. Yeah.
Sweatshopping is not necessarily illegal. It's only illegal if the resources from the sweatshopping is then sold on, right?
Well, it depends on the locality, right? What the local laws are in regards to that.
Yeah, but the burden of proof that there's something illicit going on is still on the side of the developers to an extent, right? They do have full right to ban anyone, but if I'm a Russian mobster and I put a lot of orphan kids, careful kids in an orphanage in front of computers mining all day, you can't really prove that that's illegal use, right? It's fundamentally illegal. It's only when those resources are then sold on for real money.
Well, it's not botting, essentially. There is a human behind every single ship in that regard. It's just the fact that they're 5 years old.
Yeah, and the point is that you won't be able to easily detect that it's sweatshopping because it's not running on a bot, so there's no easy to catch repetition thing going on.
This is true. It's abhorrent, but it's true.
I don't know if that's an extensive problem, but of course it might actually be going on. But I think it's more a problem in other games where it's not so niche as it is in Eve. I think one of the more serious problems is the one that was hinted at in an episode of Talking Station, that there is a thing with money laundering and computer games and RMGing.
Oh yeah, there's. I mean, it's kind of been happening a lot with some of the most sort of most popular games as of late, especially something like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, otherwise known as PUBG. A lot of people.
Of course, there's the current Trump connection. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Oh God!
Oh, Trump connection to Eve. Let's hear it.
Yeah, there's an actual literal Trump connection. Because Bannon
can I hold on? Can I repatriate my ISK back to the U.S. and get a tax break? Is this what we're going to talk about?
No, it's the fact that Trump's good friend Bannon used to run IGE, that was the big virtual currency trading site, and made a lot of money, like millions, on selling ISK and World of Warcraft gold.
I don't think they're very good friends right now.
I know they're not that good friends right now, but it's just funny that there's a connection between those illicit real-life politics stuff and EVE Online. I think that's a little bit funny.
This isn't MSNBC, okay, or CNN.
I would like to qualify a tenuous connection, because you can be involved in an organization and not know that certain things actually happen. Like, you can
Fake
be, for
news.
example, involved in IGN and not be involved in any way, shape, or form with the, RMT and selling of, like.
Yeah, we're not trying to win.
IGE, it's closed.
IGE, sorry.
We're not trying to win one of Trump's fake news awards. Come on, Caleb. Come on, seriously.
I just think that the connection is funny. And it's also back to the aluminum.
Aluminum?
I did say aluminum for the American audience.
Aluminum.
Yeah, the aluminium tycoon from Russia that threw like hundreds of thousands of dollars into Eve and bought his whole alliance.
Well, I mean, that was legit though. Like, he took
the second one. Second time around. He started with RMT, right?
Well, yeah, but he took money outside of the game and pushed it into the game rather than taking ISK from the game and pulling it out into real money.
Yeah,
But see, that's all fine as long as you throw
So
the
it's
green at it.
so putting it in is okay, but pulling it out is bad. Is that what we're saying, guys?
Especially
Yes.
if it's dry.
The point is that if you're doing it through the legal channels, right? If you're doing it with Plex and giving your money to CCP, most players will accept that that's perfectly fine. It's a little bit potentially pay to win, but as we all know, the whole pay to win factor is really not that great in EVE.
Just remember, there's a substantial penalty for pulling out late.
We all know about that one.
Especially when you send one past the goalpost.
This is a segue for McLeod to talk about the initiative probing holes.
Hey, we may have found a gay hole, but it's all good.
It's all good, baby.
Yeah, the hole was labeled GAY TAC 250.
Nice.
One of the things that's often skipped over a little bit when people are talking about RMTing and botting is the actual effect on the game of these two things, right? I kind of pointed it out to the people that managed to talk about it just towards the end of Talking Station. What botting actually does is it totally undermines the value of legit players' playtime, right? Because of the effect that they can run it 23/7. That means that if you can only play like 2 hours per day and they can play for 20 hours per day, your value is reduced to a tenth, right?
Yeah, you're right there. I mean, botting is bad. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to say it's good, and RMTing isn't great either, right?
But just to understand what the actual effect is on the game, it's that it undervalues your time effectively, right? And RMT is funny enough, it's the other way around, right? When you have things that are bought through a store, basically what RMTing is doing is it's undermining the price conversion, right? So if if you take something like Plex, if you buy Plex from CCP, it has one cost. If you buy it by RMTing, it's cheaper. So they are undercutting CCP. That means that you're getting less developer time and less revenue stream to the developer, and in effect, they are undermining the value of the entire game content, right?
The stream of money that should be going towards CCP in order to pay for, further advancement of the game is being redirected to random people around the internet, essentially.
Yeah, it's basically it's short selling, or it's basically disconnecting legit players and CCP from the ecosystem and economy of the game, which is basically what destroys a game if it is allowed to actually continue. You could argue that if they are balanced, if the degree of botting and RMT is balanced, so it's basically bots creating assets, selling it to casual idiots, and then a middleman taking a small percentage, then it's kind of a little closed economy that doesn't really impact the legit players, especially in a game like EVE. But in other games, it definitely becomes detrimental.
I don't know. I just never found it easy to make money in games like WoW or things like that. So
it really isn't. It's not easy at all.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why people put together botting programs, because you can go and do whatever and it will do it for you.
Again, it's difficult for players to make money if there is botting going on, because it undermines any efficiency of their invested time. Which is also why I'm such a huge fan of Lifeblood. I think it's the most brilliant idea that a game developer have ever had when it comes to resource respawn rates.
But the other kind of thing, which is kind of a little bit awkward, is when it comes to CCP. CCP have to kind of look at how much effort is required to make the ISK that pays for a month's worth of game time, and be able to, to be able to balance it well enough so that people who have the time to be able to do that can get that done without it being soul destroying and brain melting, meltingly dull, but still have that resource available there for people who don't have the time to literally just go in and pay for X amount of ISK, by going through Plex.
And just to comment on chat, the market manipulations in other games is usually because pretty much every other game out there that I know of is all auction house based, and it's all sellers markets. There's pretty much no game out there that's got an exchange based trading system. So there's no buy orders in other games. That means that it's extremely easy to do things like cornering and market manipulation. In EVE, that's not that easy, because you can't really know how much stock is available. And because of buy orders, it gets resupplied pretty fast to someone to come in and remove your cornering.
On a side note,
go ahead.
If you've never thought about going to the Dollar Tree or Dollar Store and looking at all of their glasses, there are some excellent beer mugs and wine glasses.
Beer mug and wine glass selection. How about shot glasses? They get good shot glass selection?
Well, each one of them is like $1, and it's like one of those, how you're just going to have one glass of wine? These things are huge. I'm just going to have one glass. It's literally the entire bottle. And they're $1, and there's so many of them.
When we go on vacation, the first thing that we do is we go to a certain restaurant because they have a extra large glass of wine for the ladies, and they all seem to love it.
Yeah, these wine glasses are huge. But yeah, don't put down freaking dollar stores, because holy crap, I want to revamp everything right now just so I can get even more freaking toasted.
That's funny.
It's $1. How good can it be?
Here, I got an idea. I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to put it into Discord of the beer mugs, the whole freaking box of beer mugs that I just found, that are $1 a piece.
You see, hopefully there are some people who have watched that Vine, who have watched Vine stuff before and realized that I just used a meme there. But you know,
So we do have a question in chat on the brand of cigarettes that Caleb smokes.
Camels. 20
I
Regal?
do home brews.
Here where I live, like a pack of 20 cigarettes is like $8.50, and I'm sitting there going, for crying out loud.
Do you roll yours, or do you have like a little machine thing that rolls it? Like, because I've
have a
seen those
machine.
things. Oh, cool. Okay, fair enough.
Here, there's some link action in Discord right there.
All right, let's go take a look at this. You know, we're all gonna go look at something in our Discord that none of you can see. It's gonna be great. Which probably we should figure out how to open our Discord to everybody too.
If you got XSplit, Eric, just take the picture and just drag and drop it into XSplit, and then you can just remove it later. I just randomly drop pictures into my XSplit all the time.
It will not let me do that.
That's a pretty good
You
mod.
have to,
It's a pretty
you have to
good.
drag it. You have to drag it onto your desktop and then drag it into XSplit. It's weird.
Okay. So I have a beer mug just that big, dude, and you know I got it at like a what is it? One of those German Bavarian dinner things.
Yeah, but it's not a Das Beer boot, is it?
Oh, there it is, right over top of me. There it is, giant freaking beer mug.
Buck a piece, man.
There you go. Now I can't get rid of it.
It's actually really freaking thick.
How the hell do I get it off?
You have to go down in your layers and then click it off. It should be the top layer.
Ah, there we go. I got it. Very professional. Things that we do here. Flying things around the screen. But hey, you got to see a picture of a dollar store dollar beer mug, and you can't do that on every show on Twitch.
Hey, this is push to talk remote right here. I am on the scene at Dollar Tree.
Live on the scene.
Giving you
RJ.
deals on your future drinking goblets and apparatus.
See, we already got people in chat saying they'd buy that for $1. I'd buy that for $1. I had to go to.
I just asked the wife if we could buy the whole box. And she's just like, where would we put it? I'm like, who cares? It's
a box. You can-
It's full of beer mugs for $1.
You
We'll
put it
put
in
it
storage.
where the beers used to be, because
know what?
we'll put the beers in it.
Here's what you do. You buy the whole box, and for $1, you just give it to your friends when they come over and have a beer. Hey, keep the mug. Souvenir.
Oh, that is an excellent idea. I'm going to run that by the wife.
And the next thing that you get one of those little sandblaster things that you can get, and you can etch them with your personal logos. Holy shit, we can put the Uncle Sam B on them.
In before you set that up. Before you set that up too powerful, and you literally like blow 3 glasses up.
I think way back when I was young and we did junior achievement, we did glass etching. It's not too hard.
I've been trying to get this laser engraver. I would laser engrave all this glass.
So
It'd be pretty nice.
Danny M83 in chat says to you, RJ, that all you do is just use a mug, throw it away. You don't even wash it for $1.
Oh, that's like poor billionaire status right there. That's like Eve billionaire right there. So it's like, oh, I'm so freaking Eve rich. I'm like Space Trump, but it's not real money. So I go out and buy dollar mugs and then just throw them away when I'm done drinking them.
There you go. I came out of the womb with this facial hair. This facial hair, as you can see, is getting very, very gray. I am getting very old. And Joe Barbarian says, I was once young back in the age of really cool music here in the U.S. And the great thing is, my kids seem to like it, so that's kind of cool. And no, we're not talking like 80s hairband. Better. I used to have color in that beard. No, it's more of a platinum blonde beard coming in now. I used to actually have a full beard, for those who don't know. I used to, when I used to ski a lot when I was younger, because, you know, it just protects your skin better. I used to love to have a full beard. My wife still misses a full beard. Alrighty, so Dixie Mugs, pay me royalties. He has a little thing in his kitchen where he's got these glass mugs. He just pulls one out and another one pops down.
Perfect.
What'd you say?
That would make him Santa.
I've played Santa on occasion. I was younger.
So, Eric, I'm going to trigger you. Are you looking forward to Upwell 2.0?
What? Huh? You know what I love about Citadels?
Gone silent? I can't
Oh no! You know what? There's a little thing with the window there. Did you say Citadels 2.0? You trying to trigger me?
Yep.
So Citadels 2.0. The best thing I liked about it was Dirk McGurk's picture that he tweeted this morning on Twitter, right? Of his garbage can filled with beers, a Big Mac container, and a Reese's peanut butter cup thing saying Citadels 2.0 made me do it. I loved it. It was hilarious. By the way, I would never be in an 80s hairband. Just not going to happen. But I did have more hair. I was more like Top Gun than hairband.
Is that supposed to be the leftover from Open Comms 4.5, 5 hours in a row?
Is that what they did? I guess he was irritated. I have not seen it. This is like birthday weekend here in our house. So last night we were out to dinner doing a birthday. This morning we did a brunch for a birthday. I actually get out of the afternoon birthday because I have to do this show. No shit, every year I get out of it. They're in a very hot and stuffy, stinky indoor pool, and they have a birthday party which I don't get to go to. And by the way, if they're ever watching this video, I'm done in the family. It's my nieces, and they are wonderful girls, and they're very nice. But I would die in the heat of this pool. It's like 90 something degrees, and they all eat pizza. So it's like a stream of birthdays here.
To be fair, heated indoor pools, the humidity in that room is just insane.
By the way, they're mentioning Kiss in the thing, and Kiss, awesome band. I loved Kiss; they were very good. I like a lot of bands. I have a very eclectic sense of music, and that
did
what I
you
like.
Did you just say you're a Kiss fan? Did I hear that right?
I am, and they said Dubstep Gravy Cat said Eric Kissmock. Hey, it's because
I am a freaking like crazy Kiss fan, dude.
Really?
Yes, like absolutely. I am like a super nuts freaking Kiss fan.
A little Detroit Rock City, I once had
Actually, I didn't tell you. I have a Paul Stanley PS120 guitar. An Ice
nice.
Band. I have a signature, dude.
I once had an argument with my dad coming home from work because we had family businesses and we would work together and things. And, Beth comes on the radio and he was like, man, this is an awesome song. This is more like the music you should listen to. And I'm sitting there going, Dad, it's Kiss. It's like, it's not Kiss.
Just Kiss, man.
Like,
just Kiss.
Kiss. Trust me. It's awesome tune, Dad. It's Kiss. But I'm talking, I listen like Foghat, Sweet, Journey, Foreigner, Van Halen.
Toto.
Not as much Toto, but Billy Joel. Big Billy Joel fan, actually. Love his music. Kiss opened for Aerosmith. Now that's a thing. In 2007? Wow.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, so I really enjoy this. I do have Bono's autograph on a ticket. That's pretty cool. So enough about that. What we're talking about Citadels 2.0. Caleb's trying to trigger me. So here's the thing.
Working.
Here's the thing I don't like about Citadels 2.0, right? I don't like that they're opening up 0.5 space to moon mining, even though it's lower end moon materials. I just don't think it belongs there. When CCP comes on and says, we don't understand why people don't live in low sec, right? Well, because you keep letting people in high sec do things that should be exclusive to low sec. And I don't like it, and I don't like it in wormholes.
I think the 0.5 kind of wormhole moon mining, I think it could actually spur a little bit of low sec kind of activity, because you know, a lot of people just don't. A lot of high secers just don't want to venture into low sec purely on the basis that they know that they can get shot. But then again, because they don't want to venture into low sec, they don't know what's out there and what kind of riches they could get out from there. But like this could sort of show them or give them an indication at least how much, you know, money they could potentially make in low sec.
Honestly, the way I see the map right now, they might as well just freaking turn all low sec into null sec because no one uses the damn thing.
Well,
so high sec to null sec.
One of the things I want to do, and I did not have enough time today. CCP Falcon tweeted out a really, really cool picture. Did you guys see his heat map of travel within New Eden?
Yep.
That was fantastic. By the way, if you guys haven't seen it, go on Twitter and check out CCP Falcon. And that I didn't prep it for the show, so I can't show it. But it is really cool, and you can clearly see that HiSec is where it's at. I'll see if we can figure out a link for it. But, you know, I don't see the benefit of putting moon mining for moon minerals in 0.5
It's an alternative to alchemy.
All I see in terms
that
of
soft transition between moon material and no moon material sourcing systems. And if CCP is about to do what I'm suspecting that they are doing, they are trying to shift everything onto player-controlled spawning and a flat and non-scalable resource gathering, and of course active and not AFK.
I love how the left-hand side of the heat map is like pretty hot with the jumps from Delve to Fountain to Cloud Ring.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What could have been happening there?
I don't know. Strange things are happening. Here's the thing:
the back road of the bees.
I just don't like it going to 0.5 space. You really need to have more risk going in there. Even running reactions, you should have to go to anchor in 0.4. That's the way it's always been.
Legs, right? You get training legs by doing it in 0.5, right? So you can get a feel for it without risking as much as you would if you were trying to push into low sec or go into null.
I mean, it's still 0.5. It's still going to take a while for the for Concord to appear. So there is a good chance that people who are going to exploit the this moon mining are going to basically like put a whole bunch of stuff into a freighter after they've done it, undock, get scanned, and then get fucking ganked. So you know.
Well, I mean,
have an actual use for war deck mechanics, right, and mercenary contracts. So it's definitely a positive thing. It will create content eventually.
I doubt that it will.
I mean, it won't create content for us, Eric, because we're not in HiSec. But it will create content for HiSecers, like, and not just the peace-loving sort of hippie kind of HiSecers. Like, it will be, you know, the Marmite Collective of Eve will get a lot of content from it as well. So.
Yeah, and to comment on what Ms. Evil says, he says, hey, you know, the 300 to 7% above price, right? Well, we knew that was going to happen. Everybody knew. I mean, when we knew this was happening, I found a moon out there, and I only had time to find one, that had all four, not all four, but four of the low-end things. And it cost me money every month to run that moon because the value at the time of those moon minerals wasn't there. But I did know that once this whole thing happened, they were going through the roof. And I made shit tons off of that, right? Now, you're either going to tell me that the new type of moon mining isn't producing enough quantities that they have to move into 0.5 space. Or, you know, there's some other reason for it.
Return of investment is going to be on that, right? On the lower end. The higher end is already populated. It's going to be the competition for the lower end that's going to bring more per investment.
Well, for a period until it adjusts, right? That's all that's going to happen.
Don't expect CCP to be able to tell you specifically whether that is the case or not, because I think that's too powerful a bit of information for any group to know, or even the public to know, for it to be public knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, they're never going to tell us. That's why they give us values of moon mining in ISK rather than M3. I mean, that's just the way it is. Now, when you think about this, right? I mean, the only thing that spurred me on to think was, hey, I have this old reaction corporation that I used to run my reactions in LowSec, and take all the risk of getting stuff in and out of LowSec and everything, right? And I'm sitting here going, well, why don't I just turn that into a 0.5 ganking team now, and let's just go blow the fuck out of miners, right? Because they're high-sec miners, so they're stupid, and let's just go blow them up.
You have to put in a caveat there, right? Because I do believe that delve miners are not that much smarter than high-sec miners.
Oh, no. So you don't understand. We just have a higher concentration of EVE players, so it just appears that we have more stupid miners. And by the way, if you're deployed and you're out there in a fucking Rorqual, oh my god, what are you thinking right now, right?
Well, it's not a problem. It's replaced in a day.
Yep, we got a new follower too, Nova City. Thank you for the follow, which reminds me, right? We always accept tips, we always accept bits, we always accept subs, and we love follows too. So feel free to show us a little love there. And by the way, RuneShift, thank you for linking that link. I was over there trying to find that link and brought it back before I saw yours, but thanks for reaching out and getting it. Yeah, I mean, we have been telling, and RJ will tell you, we've been telling our corporation, if you mine, we'll just forget what the Alliance is going to do to you. We're going to humiliate you inside the corp, right? I don't think it's been years since Whale lost 2 jump freighters coming out of Cloud Ring to Wardex, and he still hasn't lived that down. By the way, they were full.
I've seen worse situations occur. So,
Yeah. And I think...
Do you have anything positive to say about it, Eric? What did you like about the things in Upwell 2.0?
Well, I mean, so I tend not to jump on too many of those things. I mean, we've known parts of it since Vegas, right? We were there. RJ and I, we were sitting there and we're like, moon mining in 0.5 space? Oh, that fucking sucks. In wormhole space? No. Now, what I would allow them to do, I wouldn't allow them to get moon goo. But being able to go out there and mine and create their own belts that they could mine for better ore, I do like that. Okay? Zandium, thank you for the follow.
I thought...
Right?
We had a couple follows real quick right there, so thank you guys.
Not just 0.5, right? It's going to be available above 0.5 as well, I think. But then you don't get any moon goo.
Yeah, you'll just get ABCs.
Right. I like the fact... In fact, I kind of think that CCP should get away from seeding belts and having the code in there that has to constantly generate and calculate those belts. I would truly move all that. Yeah, rip it out.
Kill it.
And put it all into... Any belt that's out there goes from one of these things. Upwell 2. Aramis is asking when Upwell 2.0 happens, and it's the 13th of February, so it's not far off.
Which is also why the big Northern kerfuffle might not actually kick off in force until after that, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think people that are waiting for the big war, I think they might need to wait until after the patch.
Well, if I was Pandemic Horde, I'd be hoping that it would wait until after the patch. Because Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but there's also going to be a lot of advantages for aggression after the patch, right? Because the rebalance looks fairly good. It's still not exactly where most players want it, but it's a big step compared to what we have now.
Yeah. Maybe for starting off timers, maybe, like in terms of, when can I hit this structure? US time zone isn't locked out of hitting structures. EU time zone isn't locked out of hitting structures. Like, in that sense, yeah, but I mean, you're gonna hit it. You're gonna get a timer that's not gonna be in any way gameable or meterable in any way, shape, or form. Unlike the old pos mechanic, which is, I would dare say, way more elegant and way more creative than what we have at the moment.
I just think that they missed the ball on a major addition to the Off-World 2.0. They should have added a paused state to structures if the armor timer was gone. If it was after 2 timers, there should be no services available in the structure. It shouldn't build anything. It shouldn't have any market active. Anything like that should be offline.
I don't know. I mean, you'd kind of consider that critical services, right? So
no, critical services are things that are working without rigs.
So the challenge you have if you do that, right, is
I think everything installed in structures except for weapons should be offline. There should be no services available at all except for the base ones when you launch with Citadel.
Well,
clone services and stuff.
Yeah, you have to be careful, right? If people can't take things off the market and evac them, right, they're going to get a little more irritated. So when you look at the playability and the risk versus reward, right? I mean, again, CCP did what they did with the Rorks. They made things very safe, big adoption, but now they've got like Citadels scattered everywhere, right?
Well, you should be able to cancel and evac. I'm saying that you should not be able to buy from the market, and you should not be able to sell to the market, right? So basically, things like that should be offline. Same with production. The industry should stop and pause. You can still cancel it and get your stuff back, but you should not be able to have an active profit-generating service running.
I'll disagree with you on the market, and here's why, right? Because if we've stopped our Keep Star in order to defend it, right, the market is the best way to do that. Hey, Jintan, how you doing?
That and also contract services inside of
contract services. I would say is an essential service, but it should not be public contracts. That's my only beef. All public available services should be offline when you hit that timer.
I'll agree with production services, but I wouldn't go so far as the marketing contracts. And I know you didn't go to contracts, but I would say the market would be operational. Because you could just sit there and logically say, hey, I'm allocating people to make sure that this continues so that we can fund our war, saving our Keep Star or whatever.
Yeah, the problem is that the reason I'm arguing for this is, of course, a little bit biased towards what I would see develop in HiSec is the fact that there was a benefit of launching Fortisars, and just because of the timer issue, it would have made its own value before anyone could actually kill it. So you could just drop a new one.
Do you want to know how I kind of feel with regards? Oh, hey, Jintan.
I said hello to him first. I just want everybody to know that.
Hey, man.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Good, man. Good to have a CV. Good to have a CSM member on here. Thank you. And a CVA dude. But I just wanted to say, like, with regards to my personal opinion, to do with value and risk and reward to do with Citadels, I do kind of feel like, there should be a conquerable mechanic with regards to Citadels that people can go through to, but there should also be the whole kind of asset safety thing, I think, needs to be scaled down or made a lot more, a lot less easy.
It's getting the first pass, right? It's getting one pass that you can no longer asset safety for free. Which
is great for us.
Yeah.
I still think it's
I do kind of feel
too cheap, but it's a good step. That there's no such thing as a free meal anymore.
I do kind of feel like if you should have asset safety, you shouldn't just have blanket asset safety regardless of stuff that whether you take a measure or whether you take measures proactively to have it or not. Like I think asset safety should be something that you proactively do in the same way as ship insurance. I personally feel like asset safety should be an asset safety insurance contract that you put down. Basically, you say all the stuff in here all the stuff in this particular area, I'm going to asset safety with an asset safety contract, and that pays out every day, week, whatever.
So I could sit here and like kind of argue with you and talk about the classic points about how asset safety's always been a thing, thanks to fire sales and stuff like that. But instead, I'm going to kind of I'm going to talk to you on like the CSM level, the level that I interface with CCP on, and that simply asks you, is it worth CCP's time right now to develop that, to code that, and take 6 months out of their development plan to make new asset safety?
They should just tweak the existing asset safety, in my opinion.
Yeah. Everyone always has these very interesting ideas of how to fix mechanics that they feel are wrong, and I totally understand that. But you need to look at the simplest possible fix whenever you're pitching anything ever. That's just part of working with CCP. It's why when the community was like, yo, GTFOs are pretty fucking bad, CCP was immediately like, okay, maybe we just don't have them. That's really easy for us to fix. We just turn them off.
Yeah, and then I think that 0.5% is too low because it won't actually stop people using asset safety as free shipping.
I just want to point out, Jintan, that I am the only one that's allowed to talk about the cost of development versus the reward to the player on the show.
He's vetoing it completely.
Monopoly. All right, got it.
No. It makes perfect sense. I mean, that's one of the things as players that we often forget is, sure, we think that there's things out there, there's code, or we think it's easy to code something, and quite often it's not.
And I've also found that people vastly overestimate the amount of people who work at CCP.
So you're saying they don't have Blizzard level
I mean,
budgets?
they can't all be caterers, can they?
No, they do own their own catering company though, and it's really good food. they unironically own the contracts to all their chefs, and they're so fucking good.
So they got good food over at Camp CCP.
Bruh, I every time I go there, I go for every single free lunch and every single free dinner because it's so good. It's just good food.
So what kind of food could we expect if we went over there to CCP
Lord.
land?
Just
I mean, I've seen the shark thing, and it really isn't appealing. So
No. That's for very specific, like meme occasions. In general, they just eat like normal human beings because they're not, crazy.
The rotten shark is the you're new to Iceland. You should try something that we all have all the time. Lol.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that Jintan gets solids in Iceland at all.
Oh, dude, I had some curried fish whilst I was over there, and that was one of the best curried fish curries I've ever had.
Not a curry fan, so keep going.
Had pork, I've had beef, I've had burgers, I've had like pasta, I've had many curries, many chilies. Just like normal food, but it's just really well done.
Speaking of restaurants and food in Reykjavik, is there anything good out there for like a date night?
Yeah,
me and the wifey can go date nighting in Iceland?
Grillhusid is very nice. Apotek is also lovely.
What's that thing that spins?
The thing that's you're gonna need to be a tiny bit more specific.
I mean, I can spin, but it's only if I get excited.
I don't know.
The only thing that spins is you the next morning after you've been drinking, Caleb.
Yeah, that's when I'm out with Jintan. Then everything just spins. No, but there's a restaurant at the top of something with a panoramic view, and the whole thing rotates. I think.
Yeah, the Sky
I think that would
Lounge.
be perfect.
It's fucking right. It's near the seafront. It's quite nice. I've never been in it personally though, so I can't speak to the quality of the food.
You know, it's really funny. We're all talking about these restaurants and that particular one you mentioned. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to take her to that. And she's sitting next to us, and she can't hear what we're talking about because I have a headset on, so she doesn't know.
Well, just make sure that she doesn't get motion sickness.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is Jintan. This is RJ is like in the car hanging out with his family and his wife, so he gets family time and game time with us.
Yeah, he was shopping for knobs earlier.
Did you see the wine glass? Not the wine glass, but the beer glass I got.
I didn't show the Pilsner glass, by the way.
Yeah, I actually bought that. I'm going to drink out of that tonight.
The big Pilsner glass. So yeah.
Oh, I fucking misheard that. I heard pills in her glass.
No.
Pills in her glass.
No
Fucking
pills.
hell, that accent just fucking wrecked me. I was like, what the fuck kind of joke was that? No one laughed either. What's going on here?
He's trying to roofie his wife.
The only
I
way.
think she would let me.
Probably. Yeah, I think your wife might. So RJ has a
look I'm getting right now. You should see the death look I'm getting. Oh my god.
RJ has a very fun wife. She's very cool. So yeah.
She just pulled the knife out of the glove box.
Just hope you don't pass a state trooper.
Please don't. Oh Jesus.
Weird time to drop in for Desperate.
Yeah.
Definitely. We're talking about RJ roofing his wife because Jintan thought it was funny because he thought he put pills in her glass instead of buying a Pilsner beer glass. Of course, sometimes I don't enunciate the best, Jintan, so I understand.
I'm also English, so I'm used to people talking with, a mouthful of tea and or smoking a pipe.
Ooh, I miss smoking a pipe. That was a fun thing in college.
I smoke a pipe.
I do not any longer. The only thing I'll do is an occasional cigar in the golf course.
Oh, you're implying that I smoke tobacco somehow.
I have no recollection of that, Senator.
You're still responsible for getting us that hookah tent.
Oh, fucking hell, I'm not dealing with that. It would be funny as fuck, but I'm not putting in the effort for it.
Just kick Falcon until he agrees to arrange it.
Cheetah in the chat says you're just used to baked beans on toast and that's about it, Jintan.
No, I'm actually quite well, I cook a lot of food. I cook for my family quite regularly. And I have quite a flair for cooking extravagant dishes. Especially Korean food. I love cooking Korean.
I'm so American, it's terrible.
I was just there thinking to myself, like, how close is that, like, whole comment to, I like food. Some of my best friends are foodies. Stuff in that sense.
I mean, Steve's a pretty big foodie, like Fuzzy Steve. He knows good food.
Tacos, man.
Food too. No, Arith knows good wine, actually. Arith has, like, the perfect sense for wine. Like, I don't like wine, but when Arith buys a glass of wine, I will drink that wine. It's so good.
Nice.
But it also probably costs more than, like, my monthly paycheck, so...
Depends on the wine. There are some very good wines that are reasonable and some that are very expensive.
So you're ninja looting Arith's wine in Iceland?
Yeah. He bought, like, an over $1,000 bottle of wine one CSM summit. It's pretty extravagant.
But then you just swoosh in and just nick it.
I took some fucking dessert wine. I'll have dessert wine if he's offering it to me. I'm not gonna say no.
What kind of wine was it? Was it a port, or were you guys working on a...
I love port. That's actually what I drank all throughout the Christmas break. I just demolished 2 bottles of port. Just, like, sitting there with just drinking it.
I have to be really in the mood for a port wine. In fact, I have none in the wine cellar.
But no, it was a dessert wine, like a really, really heavy, sweet, like almost syrupy wine.
Oh,
but it was like 14% or something ridiculous. Oh, it's so good.
Have you guys actually, and this is not a dessert wine thing, but it's a derivative. Have you ever had a really, really good balsamic vinegar? Drizzled over a piece of good Parmesan cheese for dessert?
I have not, but that sounds great.
It's fantastic.
Welcome to the Push for Food podcast.
Yeah, push for food. No, I used to, when I was dating my wife, I used to cook a lot, but of course when we got married, cooking became her domain, right? Not by choice. And I kind of laugh because she really, she's... I grew up in an Italian household, mainly for the cooking side of things, so we don't measure shit unless we're baking, right? And she's like, how do you make that? I'm like, well, you take this, 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 and this, and you just put it in the pot, and when it tastes right, then you know you're right. She's like, I can't cook like that.
That's how you do it.
Yep. Joe, nobody's...
Joe's trying to trigger us.
And Joe Barbarian, no, nobody's had a Tide Pod on the show ever. but we have laughed at the teams who do.
I don't think there's any form of like to answer Tyrannius there as well. I'm not sure whether there's Tide Pod porn, but like I'm sure there's probably someone trying to make some.
I loved all the memes that came out because I put them in the.
It's almost like Jintan knows because he has looked for it.
No, I know because people have fucking pinged me with it.
Jeez.
This community is interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna throw a related meme in chat. There you go.
Christ.
We now have people asking Fozzie to come on the show and do a Tide Pod. That's not very polite, Joe. Please.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh.
That's literally, you're literally saying, come on our show and drink bleach. That's not okay. You can't say that to people. It's not acceptable.
Radiator Mountain Dew, the cotton candy in the wall, the Downy dipping dots.
Is there any way we could get like Fozzie on the show and force him to do Fozzie Stop for like one long fleet and see if he actually likes it?
No. You know, one of the things that I've noticed, I have never liked, in Jintan, you can see this, I have never liked when they make a single developer come out and make an announcement. And whether they had something to do with it or not, they get dinged with it forever, right? I did like how the Citadel 2.0 came out as Team 5.0, right? That's better, but I really wish they would just do the dev blogs as CCP is telling you.
The reason why they don't
use
do that
teams instead of developer names.
The reason why they don't do that is they want to basically concentrate the hate on one person, as it was explained to me.
Yeah,
because a lot
Falcon
of the team...
and Fozzie are the tanks of hate.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
I think Falcon unfairly so. And actually, to be fair, I think both unfairly so because like Fozzie gets a lot in the neck for just basically being the spokesperson of a whole bunch of different things.
Well, Quant tried to apply for the position, but he failed.
Oh no, he got the heat. He got the heat.
He can tank that heat. Like you know that he has a fucking shirt now with 0.1% like on it.
But it
Like,
was his
he fucking
graduation
absorbed
day
that
that
heat.
he stepped in front of the bullet and he just got fucking hit.
I think that was perhaps one of the dumbest things I've seen anybody from CCP do. What
He didn't
it
really.
was funny.
He didn't really step in front of the bullet. He basically crafted the missile and put the guiding system in there
if
and
you
set
read
it
the thread,
for
right,
his house.
He pulled his own trigger.
It was pretty much him stepping in front of a bullet for someone else.
If you think that's even remotely the stupidest thing a CCP member has ever done, then you have never been drinking with a CCP member. Holy shit!
No, I haven't. Actually, I think I was. Should I say this?
I've been out drinking with
I'm not-
Unifex and Soundwave.
I am not sure what was in it, but it was like a little teapot at Vegas on the floor. And
That could have been anything.
And Falcon kept coming over, laying on the floor and tipping it in his mouth and laying it back down. I'm not sure what was in it, but he seemed to like it. So
I'm not even going to comment on that.
That's particularly eccentric behavior, even for an Icelander.
I know, and nobody else
He's
was
not
drinking out of
Icelandic.
this.
Falcon's
Oh,
British.
fair enough. Oh yeah. Sorry, no, I was just
Fucking, he's like vaguely northernish. I don't actually know where he comes from in England, but
Yeah.
Falcon. I think he's a
northerner.
I'm not sure.
Let's put it this way. Very rarely has somebody from CCP actually post something that actually offended me personally, and Quant succeeded in doing that. I really, after that post, I have very little respect for him, to be honest, guys.
well, shit.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one. So when you look at what happens in the scope of what they do to their customers, right? They do have to be a little more professional in what they're doing. If they want to focus the heat on a single developer, to me, from a company perspective, doing what I do in the level I am, I find that to be a little irresponsible as a company, to be honest. Speaking very frankly.
You're talking professionally, not in terms of like what you do in the game.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
It's slightly unfair because it's a balancing act, right? If you want this access and familiarity, then you can't have the extreme hands-off professional approach. You can't have both.
well, it depends on how you do it, right? There's interaction with the customer that you can have from a developer on a certain level. You have to be careful with that. I mean,
But it's a fine balance between the logs show nothing and the what was it, 100 million ticks or something.
260 million ticks.
Yeah, I think
you have to accept that CCP devs are human, and when they interact as much with the player base as they do, they will say stupid shit.
Yeah, I'm talking more about the announcements and things like that, right? I'd like to see those things coming out more, changes coming out as more of a corporate, more of a professional announcement rather than coming from Fozzie or somebody else, right? Now, as far as Fozzie and all these guys interacting with the player base on a different level to get a feel for how those announcements affect the player base, I think it makes them, how do I say this? It rather than making them a focus point of the hate, right? They can then act as an ambassador and get a different relationship and a different feel for the player base and the things that are going on without the interference of some of the hate that Fozzie and others deal with. I think you get just a better business environment there, and better relationship with your customer.
I'm just inclined to actually totally disagree and go the other way and say I'd actually prefer it if they were less professional and more engaged with the player base, especially because they have a very special game that does not exist without their players. It's not like other games where they have a lot of on-rail shit. EVE does not exist if big entities stop playing.
Yeah, and looking in the quote and we're getting some nice information in the chat, right? And Urandus is saying Fozzie was feeling some burnout from all the heat, right? And that's what you want to avoid with your employees, right? As a company, there's a degree of protecting your companies. And your access to the devs, you have to be limited because we feel we can say anything to these devs. And, the internet already makes us feel like these people who are far away, that we can just say anything and be dicks and doesn't matter how they feel about what we say, right? It's just part of corporate culture that I think needs to change. I know you guys disagree in some aspects, but I've been around the corporate culture for a long time because, I'm old.
I kind of like the way CCP does it with devs actually being willing to put their name to changes that they've made to a large degree. But I wish the community was a little more fucking reasonable sometimes.
Well, so long as it's voluntary and not forced.
If CCP had not delayed fixing something that's detrimental and totally undermining gameplay, if they had fixed this earlier, we would never have seen these degrees of incessant hatred towards specific devs, right?
The internet is tough.
I don't even know whether you know the answer to this, Jin, or whether you can speak to it or not. But do CCP devs actually have the ability to be able to opt in to be the one to break certain, dev blogs and this, that, and the other, or is it just basically are they just handed to them to whoever it is?
There's no overall communication strategy within CCP. Teams have make their own decisions regarding how they put out their dev blogs.
Oh, okay. So it's not like it's not like an overall opt-in kind of system going there, but it's whatever the team feels it wants to do.
Yeah, there is to an extent a measure of control that the community team has. I know previous to the community team reduction, they were installing members of the community team in every single dev team with the intent of using them to kind of increase the level of communication we'd get from individual teams. But I don't know if that's continuing now. I imagine it's probably not.
Yeah, unsurprising. This was the subject of one of my INN articles many months ago, that CCP needs to develop a concise and consistent communication plan with their customer. That will help them a lot in the long run. But again, struggle too with the fact that where does CCP see the life cycle of EVE Online, right? That's going to impact a lot of what they do there.
Sure. There's a lot of things going on in terms of like the future of Eve and the development of what comes next after Seagull's plan right now, which is interesting.
Well, I have to wonder whether the specifics of Seagull's plan is actually going to come to fruition, because, I mean, I don't want to kind of flog a dead horse in any way, shape, or form, and actually, to be completely honest, we don't even know whether that particular thing that I'm kind of talking about is dead or not. But like with the whole, player-built Stargates going to unknown or new areas of space, rather than it just being a rehashing of jump bridges. I mean, I'm fairly certain that's probably heavily NDA'd if you even know anything about it at all. But I kind of have my doubts as to whether it will go the former direction rather than the latter.
I do think that we kind of are supposed to get a presentation at FanFest of the new roadmap, because we've not heard anything and we have been kept in the dark for way too long, in my opinion.
I just like how Jintan said is interesting at the end and the tone that he used. Clearly, I know I'm not going to pester you because you probably can't say anything, but yes. I'm trying to figure out how long Seagull's been even on the job, because she's seems like she's away on sabbatical or having a kid most of the time she's been there.
Yeah, she's on maternity leave right now. She comes back in a couple of weeks, I believe.
Awesome.
I think the most important thing is the roadmap has changed, right, from what she presented way back. And we've not heard anything about how it's changed. What priorities are we looking at? Which things are going to actually come to some sort of fruition, and what's actually going to get shelved or not come in at all? I think that's where most players are frustrated that we haven't heard anything, especially with things like the player-built Stargates, right?
Would you rather CCP start talking about stuff 2 years in advance so that they can completely undeliver and we get another Incarna? Is that the best operating method for CCP?
I just think they've gone too much in the opposite direction. In the past, they overpromised. Pretty much every single thing was pie in the sky thinking and overambitious and timeframes that were totally unrealistic. But now it's the opposite. We don't get any hype. I think we said that last FanFest, or just before last FanFest as well. We don't get any real fluff or hype or things to look forward to. And of course, that means that they're always going to be able to. That's not true.
There was a lot of hints in the last keynote, but
but they're extremely subtle, right? Could we at least get something?
But then again, Caleb, like the other thing is they've changed the way that that they do the keynotes and stuff like that over the times back when you were talking about how like it was all pie in the sky thinking and all that kind of stuff. Because before it was a case of they would do the keynote and the CCP Presents thing right at the end of the weekend. So it was like it was a build up all the way up to that. But they realized that like doing that doesn't give them the feedback that they need.
But the point is that it gives them the marketing that they need. I know that it might have been it culminated in a totally impossible dream with Summer of Rage. But the point is that without some hype, they do not have marketing, because EVE is not a marketable game. You can't just push out new trailers and stuff like that. People will not be sold on that. What they're sold on is the whole ambassador stuff, the player hype. And we saw steady growth when they used to do this, the old Trophy France stuff. Now when they've totally stopped it, it's plateaued and it's even declined a bit. I think we need some level of hype to get people more incentivized to stay in the game and to promote it to other players.
I don't know. I seem to remember that one EVE trailer that was a what was it? This is EVE. It literally had no spoilers, no kind of real massive content. Yet it was the most popular EVE trailer to date, and has actually brought a whole load of people, from a marketing standpoint to into the game.
Yeah, but that's kind of
You
okay. I love it.
Literally
as well,
the opposite of what you said.
It's a one-hit wonder. It's a little bit like you can't plan for BTEC R fights and stuff like that hits the news. You can't plan for made of like Ponzi schemes and shit like that. This is not something CCP can do. CCP's only responsibility when it comes to marketing the game is to focus on making sure that the presentations at FanFest and Vegas, which is basically like Apple's keynote speaks, right? This is what hypes people. It's been proven to work. And if they don't get back to something like that, I'm not saying they should promise shit that they can't deliver on. I'm just saying, give us some teasers, give us some idea of what to expect.
I just want to say with regards to that, I know from playing EVE for quite a long time that whenever it rolled into the January, February kind of time of the year, I was always a little bit more kind of observant as to what's happening, because there was always, for some reason, there was always something that would kick off that would be pretty insane and pretty huge and pretty, monumental in terms of landmark events through the year. So it's just saying, like, I mean, obviously the big one is BTEC R, but like you had previous ones before that. You had Asaki, like like the year before that, and then you had like the February 14th, the what was it, the Valentine's Day massacre in up north. All of these things tend to happen really weirdly and randomly in the sort of January, February time. Strange.
So you all know that I pretty much think that CCP has become comfortable with the fact that EVE is in maintenance mode, right? And I truly think that. I don't think you're going to see a lot more development unless you see an influx in new customers, and I don't think they're seeing that. Just reading the tea leaves that I've seen in corporate America for decades now, right? This looks and feels like this.
Do you think they're biding time and waiting until Seagull's back?
No, I just think they're ready to move on from EVE. They're going to get what they can. So. I think so. I think I do. As a corporation.
And you keep saying that. I still think that's the same as saying that they are about to just sell out and shut it down and put it on the shelf like other.
No. Maintenance mode can last. Maintenance mode can last a very, very long. It can last years.
But that's like saying, oh, Microsoft's been doing Windows for so long. They probably just are tired, ready to go and do the next thing.
Microsoft
that's not going to happen. They're going to carry
on
doing Windows.
It's like Microsoft and Oracle. They own thousands of applications, right? And so
yeah, I know
something new is always being developed and done.
They always throw money at new ideas and new sort of situations to see what sticks and what doesn't. Right?
Yeah, CCP has done that.
They always have Windows, and they always make sure that they update Windows. And yeah, fair enough. We all have our own kind of positive and negative kind of experience with Windows. I know you had a negative one today. It's fine. There is counselors that you can see about it.
Does that make Windows 8 fuzzies off of Microsoft?
Windows 3.
Windows ME.
Windows 3.1. Come on.
So,
yeah, Windows.
I
Windows.
see the opportunity for a good meme. I gotta take it,
Oh yeah, totally, man. I get you. But yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is, it's EVE is a core is the core software for CCP. They're not going to give it up. They'll try things in the same way that like loads of other companies will throw some money here, there, and everywhere to try, and see what sticks. But they're not going to just be like, you're that EVE thing. Yeah, it's dead. Whatever.
Yeah, that's but comparing game to an operating system is a little more challenging, right? Computers need operating systems, and there will always be competition within the operating system market. Not everybody needs to play EVE.
Yeah, true. But I think in terms of the people who work at CCP, they probably think, no, actually, everybody does need to try EVE.
Well, I wish everybody
will realize what they're missing until they try it.
I agree with that, but that comes down to marketing, right? I believe that if CCP put a concentrated marketing effort in, did a lot of the fixing that they're doing now, because they are fixing things, right? Fixed Fozzie they still have a very marketable product. And they have a marketable product because they haven't let their graphics slip. They keep updating it. They keep trying to make it interesting. They've done what most MMOs do not do, right? And they're not responsible for content and storyline. Players are. So I think that's a huge advantage to them. So I think they have a marketable product. I believe they have decided that they don't. Otherwise, you'd see marketing out there for this.
I think you know, to take a leaf out of what Jin was talking about a while back, I think CCP kind of realized that they have bigger fish to fry than marketing EVE to new people, like, you know, as a singular goal right now. I think that's probably what they're concentrating on.
I just think it's a total misunderstanding of what EVE is. EVE is a bit like Star Trek in the past. It's a niche with a cult following, and no amount of marketing money will make it a success. Only a slow and steady growth of popularizing it by word of mouth. It's not going to grow with a marketing campaign. You can throw as many millions at a campaign as you want. You're not going to get a lot of new players. The conversion rate is going to be horrible.
Yeah, this isn't Pokemon Go.
And this is kind of why I think it's important that we push for general fixes that will make the community less mad as fuck about everything, over trying to kind of create some sort of Jesus feature like you were talking about, Caleb. Because right now the word of mouth about EVE is incredibly negative. You talk to any long-term player of EVE Online, they're not trying to promote the game. They're trying to hit CCP with a stick until they do what they want.
Pretty much.
And that's not a healthy relationship.
And again, this is because CCP seems to not be very good at communicating with the people that still has hype and a hard-on for the game. They tend to ignore them or not give them any replies on what are the plans, what's in the pipeline, what's the roadmap, things like that. And seriously, as I just said to you in chat, I don't care if they only deliver half of what they hype, but if they get back to the hype mode of pre-2009, they will see numbers grow, because at least people then have hope. Right now, we don't have any hope because we keep getting disappointed by, oh, they're not going to fix it this time, they're not going to fix it this time, they're not going to fix it this time, and we don't have anything to look forward to.
Well, I'm going to take you back.
Rebellions are built on hope.
I'm going to take you back in another article I wrote about CCP and how they handle this. Again, everything that you're saying, Caleb, falls back onto a professional way of communicating with your customer, period. It works in every industry. Don't get less professional, get more professional. But the other thing is, don't start out big. What pisses players off? You give them a fucking Warpwol and then you nerf it 5 times. That pisses people off, okay? Don't start big. Start little and increase. Positive experience to the player.
That was the Monty Hall problem. That was CCP being too generous and giving players something that they thought might be good, and it should never have been granted players. It's exactly the same as self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency and the Rawcalls just destroyed the game.
I'd also like to just quickly address Joe Barbarian. He's talking quite a lot about how, you know, CCP doesn't listen to its player base. You're assuming that the developers of the game have complete and utter control of the product they produce. I'm not going to say that they don't, but I'm going to imply that heavily.
There are always business factors that interrupt what we think would be great things for the game, right, Jintan?
I would love to have a developer that is completely isolated from the trials and tribulations of being a company in the real world and having to seek finances.
Yeah, we tried that once, if you remember, with John Romero. Do you know what that got us? $30 million of debt, no game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right there, right? Again, there are
unfortunately, CCP does actually have to live in the real world as well. So.
Yeah, which is why I don't care about things like selling skins and doing things to make money, in addition to the things that you sell in the game, right? The game time and things of that nature. I want CCP to make buttloads of money off of EVE. I do. But I don't want them to do is keep chasing the next rainbow and fucking it up like they've been doing, right? That doesn't help.
But all the negative stuff said, I do think that the drilling platforms and the Lifeblood expansion is the most innovative thing I have seen from a game developer in a long time. It resolves one of the worst problems in any MMORPG, and especially one that's supposed to last. It solves the whole asset creep problem.
I still don't like Moon Goo and 0.5 space and wormholes.
I so should have been listening to you there, Caleb, writing in Twitch chat. Fuck, I'm sorry, man. I literally came out and I was like, oh, Caleb was saying actually something quite good.
Right,
but
here's another good one.
It's a puzzle to me that every time I mention this, people don't realize why it's true. It's like as if they haven't played other MMORPGs, where inflation and devaluation of assets and player time is a huge problem, and it's pretty much all games out there, because if NPCs control the nodes, players will game it. If it's players controlling the nodes, they can't game it because they are the ones doing it.
I just want to reply to Joe there again. He's talking about bugs and how they aren't fix it, showing how to replicate it, and they haven't been fixed in like 8 months. Do you think that CCP developers have infinite amounts of time to spend on doing everything in the game? Like, I'm not trying to bat for CCP's corner here, but you have to understand that they do not have infinite time and infinite resources with which to fix everything in the game. And they're being given goals to their team, which are like, do this, you need to try and make this number that's 100, 110, you need to try and get these effects on the server of players from things that you create in the game. They don't get a ton of time.
And let's remember that.
I'll notice you too, Yorandas.
And when CCP adds stuff in their game, it's not just another eye level to your weapons. They are adding new and novel content. Of course, it's maybe with a 2-year cycle or something like that, but it's always novel. That means that there's going to be consequences and bugs that they didn't actually expect. But it is the most refreshed game out there. I have not seen any game that's got more than 10 years on its back that's been able to innovate so much as CCP has been doing it with EVE.
Plus, I would like to point out that, when it does come to, them fixing certain aspects of the game, they do prioritize stuff based on how much, based on, how many people this particular fix will affect people. Like, and that's the reason why, when they're looking at the Citadel changes, obviously it's a priority for them because it affects a lot of people, because a hell of a lot of people utilize Citadels every day.
And that's one of the things when you look at a lot of software development houses, right? They've adopted, a run team versus a change team, right? New development falling under a change team, maintenance falling under the run team, keep the thing operating. So, CCP is not big enough to do that, I don't think, right?
I think what CCP would benefit from is a little bit more clear communication when it comes to why are they doing something. Like, we've had a whole year of what I call amputations, and they've not really been very good at writing up proper dev blogs and explaining it. And hell, I'd say make videos. You can explain this in a 5-minute video. That's pretty much the highlights of a concise dev blog. Why are they not doing this? It doesn't take that much time. That's not developer time stolen to create a highlights video of the dev blogs.
Well, I wouldn't say it's. I would say, yeah. I mean, if you're just doing it off the cuff, kind of like, point the camera at me and I'll run through what we're kind of changing and stuff. Yeah, fair enough. But like, as we've seen, both in stuff that they've done like that, and also written dev blogs, they do make mistakes every so often, and it's a lot easier to go into a written dev blog and change it and augment it than go, oh crap, we have to film that whole thing again in its entirety because we've changed this X, Y, and Z.
Thinking about why did they take out the captain's quarters? Why did they change the API to ESI? Why do they?
I can tell you the answers to both of those, by the way, and that's amount of time that it was taking them to make sure that it didn't break. Like with Captain's Quarters, it was taking 3 dev weeks a month to make sure that Captain's Quarters didn't crash everyone's computer when it loaded. Like, you can't tell me that that's a good investment of time.
Oh, it's not. It's just that they need to explain it, and then I
get any return.
Well, they did. They did explain it.
In
Caleb,
instead, right?
I know.
They did explain it.
Caleb was sitting here saying, "Why didn't they explain this?"
Yeah, they did a whole thing on it. It was older technology that they couldn't continue to support. They needed to pull that old technology out because it was a pain in the ass and expensive, right?
Yeah,
is it worth it?
My point is that it doesn't reach the end level player. Just like the number of people actually voting in the CSM, it's the same thing. Most players don't actually read the dev blog, so they are dependent on things like our shows or the Eve media to then cover this. And if we're supposed to do that, then maybe the interaction with CCP to get that information out there should be a little bit better.
So what you're saying is that there should be CCP-led press conferences. I'm down for this. I would 100% do that. That sounds fucking great.
Well, think about it. Think about this,
like
Jintan.
The CSM has, so the media actually have some sort of direct communication, so it's not as problematic if we need information or clarification of things in the dev blog or in a press release, whatever you want to call it. I just think that if they are depending on us to do this ourselves, they should engage with us more.
I gotta say though, just speaking of press conferences, that reminds me of something that we kind of bandied about doing this summit. We were gonna have like a fucking press conference at the end of it, and we were like, that's so fucking cheesy, why would we do that? But I'd be interested to hear your opinion on it, Caleb. Like,
I loved what they did with the small videos from the CSM summit. That was amazing. If they could do something similar with features, would be even better. It's like that would blow my mind. And collaboration closer with the Eve media would maybe make sure that CCP does not have to invest that much time and money in doing something like that.
Why do you think CCP goes on so many podcasts currently?
Exactly. It's just that maybe helping it out, being a little bit. I don't know, more effective.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what they did with EVE-NT, right? They basically helped EVE-NT to a level where EVE-NT actually surpassed CCP.
To be fair, that's an interesting story in and of itself. EVE-NT is a unique company that could not have existed without very specific circumstances.
True, but it's just a good example of what they might want to do with the Eve media, and I think they're chasing the wrong goals. I don't know if that's just me, but I do like what they did with the 07 show and changing that whole model a little bit. But I do think that they need to integrate more with what I call the real Eve media. I don't know. I don't want to shoot anyone. I'm just saying that the people that actually care about the game long term might be more interesting to CCP to collaborate with than some other people.
Again, this whole conversation revolves around more professional communication with your customers.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been saying, right? And CCP needs to figure out how to do it.
Unfortunately, it seems that the executive team of CCP does not particularly value professional communication with their player base. So
it's very clear.
Like, I don't know what to say at this point. Like, you're not going to change the executive structure of CCP, realistically.
That's probably the biggest thing. That's the first thing I'd change if I bought it.
Well,
C-level would be cleaned out.
I'm not going to.
It would be cleaned out.
It's valued at like minimum $600 million. Like, they're not a small company.
It's not worth that much.
They're a small company in people numbers, but they're not a small financial company.
Yeah, they're not worth $600 million. Clearly, on paper, no way.
Plus, they were valued at 900 billion euros earlier this year, but that was before the collapse of VR. So I don't know. No.
I mean, plus you have to also factor in the catering company as well.
Oh yes, the catering company. They are top notch. You know what? I'd spin that catering company off right now. We'd put them on their show on Food TV, and we'd make more money than they're making today.
Yeah, and when you talk about things like valuation of a corporation, right? then they definitely need to get back to the hype era, because that's pretty much what drives investors and valuation. If there's vague and thin keynote presentations at FanFest and Vegas, the valuation is going to tank.
Well, I mean, I'd like to actually I'm not entirely certain whether they still do these sorts of things, but like, you know, I do distinctly remember that, you know, there always used to be a lot of presentations that CCP devs and, you know, and the like did it at like game development conferences and stuff like that. I'm not sure whether they do much of that anymore, but like, I imagine that is a good, you know, a good place to sort of, you know, do the very specific, very technical kind of presentations that are more fitting for investors to kind of look at the, you know, look at the IPs and look at the company as a whole. I just don't know whether they do much of that at the moment, because I know they used to.
This is where I yell at Lashana for pinging me on Discord rather than watching the show. He's actually asking me if I know which moons we're going to get in the moon thing for the Imperium. Really? I'm going to beat him over the head.
With a rusty tire iron?
Probably. So yeah, no, I mean, hey, we can stay on for about another 28 minutes because the Meta Show is on today. I tell you what, we have had some great conversation, especially from Mirandus and others. In the chat, it's really been an active chat, and I appreciate you guys sharing with us all your opinions. It's still good, right? Again, you know, and I understand what you're saying, Jintan. They just don't want a professional type of communication. But I'm saying that, you know, if Seagull wanted to run this shop with a professional set of communication coming out, she could do that. She doesn't need Hilmer to do that and approve that, right? I wouldn't think so.
I still think that it's the expectation level that's gone down, right? The whole, the feeling, if I was an investor, right? Now we just talked about valuation of the shares. If I was an investor at the moment, I would not buy in. But if you take me back to when they used to do the hype, I would have overbought, right? I would have been disappointed as fuck, and it would have tanked eventually. But I would have bought in, and I would have valued way over actual real value, which is very important when you're trying to run a company and get credit and all that stuff, and selling and buying your own stock. So
true, but you don't want to burn your investors because then you get a bad reputation.
No. I'm just saying that there is fluctuations, and when you're product developing, it's ups and down. It's not a continuous growth curve for any company, not even Apple. Well, that's almost a continuous growth curve, but they did have a bit of a stop, right?
I love the fact that you decided to use as your example something which breaks your example.
It almost breaks it. If you look at like
you know,
quarterly and bi-quarterly periods, they do have some crashes.
Yeah. I just thought that was kind of funny.
I'd really like to argue.
I just think that the CCP should have done something in the realm of maybe going public a long time ago, but they missed the boat on that one, and I don't think that they will get another chance. And that most likely ties into the whole thing with taxation and all that, and the level of financial management you would need to actually run a publicly traded company.
Your accounting gets really complicated, right?
Yeah.
I'd really like to argue with you, Caleb, on the, and I'm trying to remember what point I wanted to argue with you on the hype.
You're just looking for
on the
something.
Hype. No. I want to, but I can't, right? So even when they did the hype of walking in stations, and some people thought it was stupid, and it never came out, right? It still gave you more of a positive feeling about the game than I think you get now. And Jintan mentioned earlier, you know, if you talk to the average EVE player, we're not recruiting friends to play the game because we're just kind of in limbo hoping the game gets better.
Yeah, and we don't have any promises for them. And to me, it feels like I don't really know how to introduce them. I don't know where to park them. Of course, you can always say, well, just join Karma Fleet or Horde. But this is even now. I don't think that's really an option, right? So it would.
I have
to
a
be
very
training
controversial
them. It's
opinion about
horrible.
those new player organizations. I genuinely think they're terrible for the game and shouldn't be allowed to exist.
What
some
did
of
I
them
miss
are.
there? What did I miss there?
I have
What
a
are you
very,
guys talking about?
I have a controversial opinion about new player orgs. I think they're bad for the game and should never have been allowed to exist.
What kind of
they
orgs?
become a little bit like
I think
sweatshop
every-
training, right?
No, I think more to the point that they strangle the ability for new organizations to be created in New Eden. Like, ever since the beginning of time, new organizations, maybe not things like Pandemic Legion, but more organic stuff like TESS and
But they also
even,
filter
like
a very
Goons to a
specific.
degree.
Well, I do think they also filter a very specific kind of players to stay in the game, and the rest is actually going to fall out. So I agree that there is a downside to new player organizations.
They've monopolized the areas in which new players can go to. You know,
Yeah,
there's
and they
longer-
narrow.
Like when I started the game, there was no place for me to go. Eve University was around, but it wasn't considered very highly at all. No one was telling you to go to Eve Uni when I started the game in 2008. So I joined a tiny corporation in HiSec, and I had a lot of fun there, and I learned a lot. We went to LowSec, we did stuff naturally there. Eventually I moved to Providence. I feel like that natural kind of ramp up evolution is completely lost in the modern game, and it's I don't know, maybe it's just me being a relic of the past, but I do think that without that you're killing a lot of the social bonding, the kind of small groups that keep organizations together and create small entities. You know, I don't know if you guys remember in 2011, 2012, that was back when these new player groups were starting. You had so many fucking shit tier alliances just sitting out in space that had like formed from friendship groups. You had places like Cascade Imminent, you had IRC. The only real remnant of that are just like these trash tier alliances that live in like in DRF, like Razor now. I miss old Razor, to be honest.
I'm
Old
not
Razor
so,
was great.
I'm not so sure I completely agree with you there, Jintan, because when I look at Goonswarm, right, and by the way, I come from the original, I don't know, till I joined, probably a year before I joined Goonswarm, I hated Goons. I thought they were terrible for the game, right? And I've been playing since 2006. I see inside of Goonswarm a very big organization that helps you play that game, yet with the average corporation size inside of Goonswarm is actually pretty small. And you have that tight-knit friendship closeness. And RJ's in our corporation, so he kind of knows what that means, right? It's very tight-knit, very small, and we like it that way.
I totally get that, and there are certainly places for it, but I feel like a lot of potential recruits for those smaller organizations are being hoovered up by the Braves and Karma Fleets and Hordes of the game, and I don't think that long term that is sustainable. I think that eventually we'll see problems arise due to that. I'm not saying they're bad for the game right now, and I think they do amazing work in helping new players understand the game and learn the game. Like Brave's Dojo system is one of the best, I think, out there, and I really wish I'd had it when I started playing this game. I would have learned a lot faster, but you know, it's something that I have a very controversial opinion on, and I thought I might as well share it just to start a conversation.
No, that's all fair and well.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff.
I mean, I'm from, like, I started playing this game in 2000, late 2008. So, you know, I mean, from the organizations that you did name drop, I have been in a few of them, and I haven't been involved with a few of them as well, to be honest. Like, I was in sort of the, I probably wouldn't say the old Razor, but like Razor when they were still living up in Tenal and all that kind of jazz. Like, I kind of get it. I do kind of understand where you're coming from, but it's not like when people come to this game and they make a new character, they don't sort of like go through the character creator and then go, oh, where would you like to go? Karma Fleet, you know, Brave Newbies, you know, fucking Pandemic Horde. Like, you know, you get dropped into the game and yeah, fair enough. Like, they do a fair amount of promotion here and there and everywhere, but like, I think if you're headstrong enough, you know, you can kind of work your way through the game without actually, yeah, you are free to forge your own destiny if you're headstrong enough to do so.
I mean, fundamentally, that's why we all like this game, right? It's because
Yeah.
we have friends in it, and because we have the ability to do what we want to do, no matter what it is. You know, your success in Eve is only limited by your willingness to put in work, which for a lot of people is something they don't feel they have in other aspects of their life. It's an escapist fantasy. That's why it's a good hobby.
Exactly. So I kind of feel like, to some degree, you're a little bit wrong there, but like I understand where the monopolization of, you know, tempting new players to certain areas rather than kind of saying the world is your oyster, go have fun. But then again, this game is huge, and you know you do kind of need a little bit of a helping hand in understanding the mechanics and the fundamentals.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that you still have they flattened the game when it comes to specialization. That means that you don't really get time to specialize as a new player or figure out what you want to try out, because you're being out-competed left, right, and center because the barrier of entry is too high.
Maybe the political. Well, I don't even know. Like maybe. Yeah, that particular one. Maybe you know, doing that to new players and like, you know, causing them to have people look at them kind of going, oh, you used to be part of this, that, and the other organization, you know, when quite clearly they were new to the game, they had no idea what they were doing, etc., etc. So, you know, they shouldn't actually be in any way stained with any kind of ramifications for being, you know, part of that political kind of you know, sphere of the EVE universe. Like maybe that is a bit of an issue, and that's probably going to end up becoming more and more of an issue. Like I'm not sure whether that's kind of the angle that you kind of don't like about the new player groups, Jin. Like
No, I don't mind that at all, because I think that long term, that what you're describing there, the fact that you have a bad thing on your corp history, therefore you don't get to play in my spaceship guild, that's self-correcting. Like over time, either people will put less value on that because they're a new player group, or your corporation will die. Like that's a self-correcting problem. Either you recruit less because you don't like the people, or you lower your recruitment standards to deal with the new landscape of EVE Online. That's just it's like the argument I had with Dunk Dinkle on the Open Comms yesterday.
Oh, you mean the shout down?
Where we were talking about logistics, and I was like, well, if you're having too much problems like sorting out your logistics, why don't you consider having less citadels? And you know, that seems like a self-correcting problem, or a problem that can self-correct.
But the problem has arisen because CCP kept giving the end-level players the value that was supposed to be handed to new players, right? This is the tier 1 materials in other MMORPGs, right?
Oh.
Usually they cost a fuck ton because most players have leveled out of them. And if you then have horizontal integration like you do in EVE, so everything keeps requiring the lower end materials, right? If you undervalue that by letting your end level characters being able to source that proportionally at their level, then it's got no value to the new players. That means you can't integrate them into the gameplay, into the economy. And that's the same with logistics. If you made end-level logistics being able to dominate all logistics, right? Like 5 players servicing 100 citadels, then there's no need for new players. They don't have a value for even small-time jobs like shipping fuel.
Well, I think personally, like 5 characters dealing with 100 citadels, like it all depends on, you know, the systems and the methodologies that they're going to be utilizing in order to do that. Like, and I think that's kind of like one of the things that Jin was talking about with regards to Dunk, and the fact that, you know, he's wanting some kind of like
he's wanting to see
like some help, right? He wants he wants some gameplay elements given to him that eases the ability for his logistics to be able to do what they do, so they can do more of what they do at the moment. Whereas I think what actually needs to happen is maybe Dunk Dinkle and his logistics crew need to have a think on how they do what they do, rather than how much they do what they do.
There was a couple of things I tried explaining to him in that episode that would make his life easier. Like, he was complaining about having to go and check citadels, and I don't think he's aware that CCP has now let you have an infinite amount of accounts that can always play for free. Like, I just have a list, a spreadsheet, a Google Doc specifically, where I just have like 20 accounts that I put in all our Fortizars. An account for each Fortizar, and if it gets pinged, I can just log it on and take a look at it. So, like,
what do you have to that many accounts? Exactly. What do you have to go there and check? Let me ask. Let's start.
Well, no, but it's just easier to log a dude in and check who's already there than get in a ship and fly 3, 4, 5 jumps and potentially.
But that's what I'm asking. What are we checking? You looking for how much fuel is left? We're
using it as an example. We're using it as an example of better ways to do something rather than being given new tools designed by the devs in order to do something that you could do already, just with a little bit more thought put into it.
I got you.
I will say that I'm not like, fuck all logistics pilots forever. You know, people who do my work for me, you can, suck a dick. I want my job to be even harder. That's not what I'm trying to say. Like, I'd love it if CCP introduced like 20 things to the game that, made logistics not simpler, but less painful. That would be a nice addition to the game.
Yeah, the problem is that when you suggest this, right, you overpower the end level player, which means that they just take over all the potential specialization of new players. That means that you're back at the let's boost the logistics capabilities so you can service 200 structures with 5 players. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah, but that is strategy games in a nutshell. It's, the person who can think and do the thing the most efficient way gets the rewards because they get
the new players don't have any service role. They don't have anything to do except be a meat shield and an F1 monkey.
You're both actually talking here about the same point. Because you're talking past each other. What Caleb is saying is he's saying that organizations should have a need to have players who can specialize within their organization, and McLeod is saying organizations should be made in such a way that specialization is important. You're both saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You're both saying that these organizations should be built in such a way. McLeod's saying the way it is right now is because it's not efficient to have people in that way, and Caleb's saying it should be, and then you two are just getting mad at each other. Like, you're both arguing the exact same point here.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that the point is that CCP should not design to boost and overpower end-level players, because if they do that, they are just making less players able to do and service the same bigger growing organization. And that's what you've seen with logistics. It's what you've seen with raw pool mining. It's pretty much everything they do. They keep adding infinity or scalability in a way that doesn't incentivize gameplay or specialization.
But Caleb, what I'm trying to say is, like, the skills and required to do those kinds of things, I'm not saying needs to be in-game skills to fly ships or to be able to do this. Skills that you need to train up in game. I'm saying these are skills that people should have, be able to, skills that they can have as
you mean transferable skills?
Yeah,
or life
transferable skills from real life.
Yeah.
Well, the point is that in the past, we didn't have any ability to public service anything, right? You couldn't publicly get anyone to go and fuel your POS. It had to be internally handled. But if you want to service 100 POSes with fuel, put up contracts or use courier contracts. This is not rocket science. If you don't have the manpower or the specialist in-house, outsource it. This is what Structure has given us. Start using it. Let's use this huge step in EVE ecology and design so it becomes possible to say, okay, I just want to shoot stuff. Everything else I'm just going to outsource by putting up buy orders or contracts or hiring a specific corp to do it. Don't expect it to be easy.
Logistics. I love it. I love that idea. And we already use that to some extent in the game. Like Red Frog Freight are very big on that, as I'll push out.
I love Red Frog.
Red Frog and
always used
Putex is the biggest thing that Eve has had when it comes to product development or specialization. And the fact that CCP didn't actually decide to try and boost that by adding some design UI optimization for that purpose is a tragedy, because the way that it's handled is still horrible.
Okay.
I do kind of feel like, CCP should give a little bit more love to, people like Red Frog. Or at least Red Frog should actually have a little bit more of a voice, to the devs than they do currently. And organizations of that form as well, that are just generally public kind of service organizations in the game.
I've said many times, Eve is a journey, and what you start out doing maybe in 2006 and you think is the right thing in the game, you can change based on not being bored in Eve, right? Hey, I'm bored doing a lot of PvP. I want to go do industry for a while, right? I'm bored with industry. I want to go do PvP, or I want to be on a logistics team somewhere or something like that. Eve is the only game in the world that gives you the ability to change what you're doing so dramatically, and the capability to enjoy something else. And that's that's the journey players need to understand as they come in. And if you choose to be a small corporation, you can't do what giant alliances do, and don't expect to do that. But if you want to do those things, engage with a large group of people and learn how to do those things, and learn how to talk to a large group of people. It's all part of growth.
Equally, there's stuff that you can do as a small corporation you can't do very well as a large organization. That's something I think a lot of people forget.
Absolutely.
I mean, I still remember the time when I actually got in touch with a guy who offered a service of actually being able to drop a POS for me in HiSec, so I could have a HiSec like manufacturing POS, and I thought that was really cool. Like I genuinely didn't realize that was actually a particular kind of service that someone did until I actually found it. It was pretty awesome. I don't think you can really do that anymore.
No, you can't, but I do remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's kind of like, like these like little niche sort of things that you find in Eve that people are doing. It's just, it's amazing.
Right, yeah. Back in the day when you had to have the appropriate standings to drop a pause in HiSec and things like that, right?
Yeah.
That's right. And you would give it to people and they would drop it for you, and then they would, leave your corporation.
Mm-hmm. There's also people who did that for creating alliances, if I remember correctly. Because you need a certain skill to create an alliance, and a lot of people didn't have it. So you would pay someone $1 billion to make your alliance.
I've got to wrap in the next 2 or 3 minutes here, but there's one question I had for the group here, because I haven't been paying as much attention as I probably should have been. Weren't we promised in the winter patch this whole stations are going away to replaced by these new Fortizars and all this stuff? And now it's February and we're talking about Citadel 2.0, but no mention of this big change that was supposed to happen.
Yeah,
where is
that?
Mention.
It's coming.
Okay,
the faction ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They delayed that because they didn't think Citadels were in a good enough place to replace stations, and the changeover will be coming in summer.
They shifted that backwards because Jintan got on his knees and pleaded with them that he didn't want to have CVA and Providence taken.
What are you talking about? It would have been great if they did it 3 months ago, because it would be over. Now we've got a second war. Great.
Yeah.
They couldn't have done it whilst FCON was dying. They had to wait until FCON died and then do it. Fucking sweet. Now I'm like the only content in EVE Online, and the fucking PL is going to be up my ass 24/7. Great. Well, at least.
Oh no! Don't worry. We're bringing them up to Cloud Ring. Don't worry. They anchored a new Keepstar up nice and close.
So every time you guys have reinforced their Keepstar, we've just reinforced everything in Providence that they own. It's fucking great.
See, Jintan, you should bring a couple big subcap fleets up to these things. It'd be a ball. I hear it's going to
Well,
be
normally
just a
I'm
ballroom
doing
blitz
stuff-
on Tuesday, right?
I actually might run something on that Tuesday time, though.
That'd be nice.
What time is it again? Isn't it like midday?
I hope it's not midday. I hope it's early dinner time or something. Otherwise, I can't participate.
I'll have to check my uni schedule, but I actually, unironically, might lead a fleet to that.
I think you
Be
guys
pretty
need
cool.
to come up. You know what? Call your friends. Come on up. Let's go beat down a
I
Keepstar.
think you vastly overestimate the size of fleets that CVA can put on currently.
Nah. You just want a nice Keepstar on your kill board. I'm telling you, everybody who wants a Keepstar on their kill board, come on over to 9TAC4 and Cloud Ring. Help Goon Swarm take this son of a bitch down. Come on, guys. You all want a Keepstar on your kill mail. Come on.
One of them was my own one, so I can't be like super smug about it. But yeah, rip the 3D tack keep
Probably
star.
block
That
self-shooting.
Keepstar. The only thing that I can say about that Keepstar was mistakes were made.
Mistakes
So
were made.
fucking mistakes were made.
You know, when we're done with this one, rumor has it there's a PL one real close that's next. So who knows? By the way, I completely made that rumor up. I'm starting it here on the show, just so you know.
Horrendous. I will have you know that CVA has a whole 15 people in our Super Cap channel.
Yeah, but do they have super caps? It's great to have that many
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, but they've got director level computers. They can literally run like 30 super cap characters at once, right?
No, we have like. I think if I went all hands on deck, like I need every Titan to jump in, I'd probably get like 10 supers.
Can't Delve actually sell some army surplus?
Yeah.
to,
Fucking
Prolly?
Aaron, if you're listening to this,
You only really
Aaron,
need-
if you're listening to this, I need you to Iran Contra me like a shit ton of supers. Just like let's make it happen.
Suddenly, 5 trillion appeared in Jin Chan's wallet.
You know, Jintan, I hear there's a couple on contract in J5A. Come on up, we'll let you buy them. Not that I have any power to let that happen. That's, I don't. I have no power. But it would be fun. Just come on up, CVA. We'll give you a couple supers. Let's beat down on this Keepstar.
No, but seriously,
Don't
army
worry, I
surplus,
have no
give them
power.
the old doctrines that are not being used anymore.
All
Hey,
right.
if you wanna drop like 4 Boson Titans on anything in on Tuesday, go for it. Like, because
I'm
apparently
gonna say that was so
enough.
fucking ridiculous. The fact that we have gotten to the point now in the game where PL can just be like, yeah, I guess we'll just throw 3 Titans at this. Doesn't matter if they die. That's just such a fucking meme level of this game now.
It's like, hey PH, I got some nice property in 9-4 to sell you.
Hey, that's just repurposed Arknor, Bistot, and Crockite, really, if we're actually genuinely talking about it.
If you think about it, everything's just Tritanium. Everything comes back to Trit.
There you go.
Exactly.
Getting into
Apart from
Cloud Ring
CT
is
stuff.
easy,
That's
guys.
why I was saying specifically that.
It still requires
Still needs
Trit.
titanium.
You need Trit to build the miners so that you can mine the other minerals, so that you can build the moon mining so that you can build the moon mining structures. And you also need Trit to
good
make
point.
the custom
All right.
tree. Therefore, everything revolves around Trit.
We're
There
getting
is
yelled
no
at by
system in the game
Rune
that
Shift.
does not
We
revolve around Trit
know.
in some way.
All right,
You're
that's-
saying
which is-
the next RMT record should be CS titanium, but then titanium.
We've literally got 1 minute. So
All
let's
right, guys, we got to wrap. We got Meta Show coming up. Jintan, I want to
wrap it
thank
up,
you
boys.
for hopping in, and obviously RJ for sharing your family time with us.
Yeah.
Caleb and
Meta
McLeod,
Show is,
thank
next.
Yep.
I'm not sure whether Eric's actually like saying anything or.
So off we go, and Meta Show's up next. Thank you, everybody, for a great time, and thank you for the audience for all the follows and everything that you did today. We appreciate the very active chat window, so thanks. Later, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.